Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Fastlane preview and predictions. And the reason I didn't give a year like I normally do is because, first of all, I almost said 2014, so there is a dodged bullet. But second of all, because this is the first ever WWE Fastlane, so I don't need to give it a year yet.
Look at this guy thinking on his feet, huh? Hey guys, what's up? It's John A.K. VocalAggression coming at you alongside my cohort and commentary here for our preview and predictions for the very first Fastlane pay-per-view. And I gotta say, Ashton, I mean, if you look around, people's excitement, their expectations for this show seem anywhere from middle to the road to pretty low, to be quite honest. And I have to say that I'm in the former camp. I am excited about two matches on this card. But other than that, you know, it's a shame because it's the road to WrestleMania, and yet it feels like anything but. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is super underwhelming. I mean, at least normally at this time, we would be looking forward to a couple of amazing Elimination Chamber matches, but we don't even have that to look forward to anymore.
No, we don't, and I miss them already, I can tell you. I can tell you that I was spoiled, because I really do miss the Elimination Chamber already, and getting this in instead doesn't really seem to have attained any kind of equivalency. But with that said, I always look forward to this time, you know, you and I hashing it out with these matchups, with the potential aftermath of these matchups, so I think the discussions may actually be the high point of this show for me, believe it or not. So, yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, so with that said, man, you want to get right into it? And if so, like, what match do you want to talk about first?
Well, before we actually do talk about the card, do we know what the full card is? Like, do we know if we have a kickoff match? Do we know... I mean, are there any matches that we think are going to happen that we don't know if they're going to happen?
I don't think there's any ambiguity as it pertains to the match card. I think everything is pretty much set in stone, from what I understand anyway. I could be wrong, but I do think we're good.
All right, well, from what I understand, the Fastlane kickoff show, which just completely unnecessarily starts at 7 o'clock in the evening. Like, oh, you're killing me, WWE. But apparently that's going to be Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman as a guest on MizTV.
That should be interesting because, you know, the big story here is Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, and then the winner, of course, goes on to take on Brock Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania 31. So they're probably giving Heyman this platform just to get his final digs in on each challenger so that he can lay the groundwork for whatever the end result is and whatever program Brock enters in going forward to WrestleMania. So, you know, I don't mind it. And anytime Paul Heyman has a microphone in his hand, I'm entertained. So they should be good stuff.
I just have to wonder why they're using MizTV to do it.
Yeah, you know, that's the weird part, right? Because, I mean, honestly, I know, like, Jericho's working weird dates, but I'd rather, like, the highlight reel or a Piper's Pit or just something that would seem to fit.
Or just what Paul Heyman always does and just have him come out and cut a promo.
Yeah, you don't even really need, you know, like a talk show kind of structure, right? I mean,
well, that's the thing, though. That's what I'm saying. The fact that he can just do that, what purpose does using MizTV serve? I think that WWE must have something in mind. I don't think they would do this for no reason.
Maybe it's going to lead into Miz having a pre-show kickoff-like matchup, but I don't think it would be against a Mizdow because I don't think they'd blow their load like that. I'm trying to think about who Miz could.
Oh, maybe that would be against Fandango since I guess he's turned face recently.
Maybe. I'm just wondering how Heyman fits into all of it. Maybe he says his piece. Maybe he sees that Miz and Mizdow are kind of like, you know, dissolving, disintegrating before him. He kind of gets out of there, and then it turns into whatever. So weird pieces in the puzzle, to be sure, and you're not even sure, like, what picture it's supposed to create. But we'll have to see how WWE executes this come tomorrow night.
Absolutely. All right, let's get on to the main show, and I guess that the least sort of relevant match, the only match really, that doesn't have any kind of title implications would be Goldust versus Stardust. But on that same note, that's also a match that I think you and I are looking most forward to a degree.
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to this matchup. I mean, you and I have been saying for the longest time, really ever since his matchup against Randy Orton all that time ago where he was trying to get Cody Rhodes' job back, that Goldust's performance has just been stellar at 44, I think like 45 years old now it should be. So, it's really incredible, and it'll be great to see him in this one-on-one setting, especially against somebody he's so intimate with. I mean, his brother, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And,
have we ever seen this match, whether on a pay-per-view or not?
I don't think we have. I don't think the only interaction I ever remember between these two in like a physical capacity would be in like a Royal Rumble setting when Cody Rhodes is a part of Legacy or something, and Goldust would just be that surprise entrant. But never where there was an actual story and all this other stuff going on. So, it's funny because so many fans have wanted this for so long, preferably on a WrestleMania stage, which for the record I will say right now that I still think we're getting. This is not going to be a one-note program. This is not going to be a one-match program. That said, I do expect a solid effort out of these guys, but I do think that you're going to have Stardust go over here, again, because I do see them go into WrestleMania, and as you and I have talked about in the past, that WrestleMania moment is more for baby faces, so maybe that's when Goldust will get his moral victory at a WrestleMania. So for now, though, Stardust will win the match.
I kind of feel like there's a possibility that there's no real winner here. I think that, because here's my thing, I feel like a lot of this match is going to be like Goldust kind of doing what Angelico did in his match with Ivelisse the other day, where like he doesn't want to hurt Goldust, but he doesn't want to get hurt by Goldust, or Stardust, by Stardust either. So I kind of feel like he's just kind of going to be on defense, trying to prevent Stardust from doing too much damage, and maybe just like trying to reason with him, trying to talk to him, and maybe Stardust like hits him too hard one time and Goldust loses his mind and beats the crap out of him.
That would be an interesting route to go. I definitely think they should play up the emotional angle, the familial bond that Stardust just continuously attempts to erode, through his actions.
I'm telling you, man, this whole thing is building up not to Goldust versus Stardust, it's building up to Dustin Runnels versus Stardust.
Yes, you were telling me about that, and I think that is an excellent idea for the reason that it's one thing for Stardust to beat up on Goldust.
Right, the characters, that's what I'm saying. Like, he even said, this isn't Goldust talking to Stardust, this is Dustin talking to Cody, and I love when they do that kind of stuff, because everyone already knows that Goldust is Dustin Runnels anyway. It's not like he's breaking some ridiculous fourth wall or anything by saying that. So I think that this is a really effective storytelling method, I guess you could say, and I definitely think that they should go that way for WrestleMania.
So, here's the final question. You know that I think Stardust is going over, so are you saying that you think a non-finish is going to occur to give us, like...
Yeah, some kind of a disqualification or a count-out or something like that.
Okay, that sounds good.
I don't know. Maybe... I think if either one of them is going to win, like, if it's going to have to be a clean finish, I would agree with you. I would say Stardust over Goldust.
Right.
But, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be some kind of a dusty finish.
All right, so we got you for Dusty finish.
Dusty finish. Yeah.
And we got me for Stardust getting the win. So, anything else you want to say about this match?
No, I don't think so. Let's see. Man, this is a really championship-heavy card. So, you know what we'll do? Let's talk about the only other thing that's set to happen here that's not actually a match. Triple H meeting Sting face-to-face.
This is going to be very interesting because I've thought about this segment quite a bit.
Really? That's a lot more than I have because I don't really give a crap.
Yeah, to me, I feel like, in all honesty, is where does this may come off? This is less about Triple H confronting Sting to me, even though, of course, that is going to be one of the central themes. And I think this is more about, this is Sting in a WWE venue, and I think he is really going to tell us all what's been on his mind. I think, this is his chance to really speak and give us that insight, which I'm sure some people will love. Other people will be like, no, I don't really dig that, and some people will just be like, I don't care. Let's just get to Mania. So I think we're going to really get to see Sting's side of things with this confrontation. Ultimately, I could see him laying out Triple H again, or they do the classic intense stare down, stare down, stare down. One of them looks at the WrestleMania sign, the other guy looks at the WrestleMania sign, and you know it's on.
I don't think they're going to repeat that. I really don't think they're going to repeat that.
But, this is going to be pretty by the books to me. Again, I think the only thing I'm really looking forward to is hearing what Sting specifically has to say, because I think that's going to be the big part of all of this. But it should be a solid segment.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope that this is more about Sting than sort of the Triple H Sting dynamic, just because Sting has made, I think, 2 appearances so far, and in both of them he is... I mean, you could say, yeah, he's screwed the Authority, but at the end of the day, I think he's just a huge Dolph Ziggler fan.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean? Like, he's helped Ziggler both times. I don't know. I mean, obviously that's just some goofy little fan theory that doesn't actually make sense when you really put your mind to it. But I wish I could care more about this, but all of like the unnecessary amount of hype that's been going into nothing but a confrontation has really spoiled it for me.
I get it, man. I totally get where you're coming from because, you know, it is just that, right? I mean, it is a confrontation. This is something that you could have very easily done.
It's
on
Raw.
Raw.
Yeah.
Or hell, even if you wanted just a WWE Network special that wasn't necessarily a pay-per-view, and you had these two, like, sit face-to-face and have Michael Cole mediate or something like that, you could have done this a variety of different ways.
Yep.
Some ways that, honestly, thinking about it out loud now,
Be better.
I probably would have found preferable. Yeah. What I'm really hoping for, and this is going to make me sound like such a tool, I know, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think what I'm really hoping for here is just kind of like a work shoot of sorts from Sting. That's what I'm really looking for here, is for him to just go off on the authority and kind of the WWE and why he didn't go and why he's now decided to come. And just, I want to hear that from Sting. If I get that, I'll be pretty satisfied with this. I'm not going to lie. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess that would be relatively satisfying. But yeah, I don't really have any more thoughts on that. So let's just move on. I don't know, probably our least prestigious championship right now, the Usos versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. I do not give a crap who wins this. I don't think that if Cesaro and Tyson Kidd win, they're going to hold the titles for long. I'm picking the Usos to win just because it's the Usos, and the Usos do nothing but win.
I mean, you pretty much summed up both of our sentiments, really. You know that I love both Cesaro and Kidd, and I love the idea that they're a team, but every time we do this, and I say it time and time again, I always put the fandom aside, and I look at it for what it is. And the way that it is that Team Uppercats has no way in hell of winning these tag titles. If they do, I will tell you this right now, if Team Uppercats are doing this match, it would be that type of title change that would just be reversed 24 hours later on the following episode of Raw. I guarantee it. Like, these guys would not be meant to be long mainstay champions. So I think why even go through the hassle? The Usos are going to retain here. You know what, dude? The crazy part is, and you know, like, it's crazy for me to say this because I've been saying, Ascension. Now, though, you and I read recently that Kalisto and Sin Cara had an appearance on Main Event. I mean, are those guys going to move through the ranks pretty quickly? I mean, are we going to have a tag title match at WrestleMania?
No.
My game plan is
I think we will have a tag title match at WrestleMania, but not involving the Lucha Dragons.
Not involving the Lucha Dragons. And I could certainly see why you would say that, or anybody would say that. I think I'm still, just because we've only come this far, say that the titles are meant to be given to the Ascension ultimately. Yep. But man, I just wish there was more momentum behind those guys, and I was more excited about it. It's really a shame. But yeah, for the time being,
they're terrible, Michael.
For the time being, Usos to retain.
Did you see what I did there?
I did see what you did there.
I was burying JBL there for a minute.
Oh God, what a douche.
Yeah. All right, well, I don't know. What's next? See, I feel bad because we're really just kind of zooming through everything, but these matches just feel so lackluster. I guess let's... You know what? Let's talk about the Divas Championship next. Paige versus Nikki Bella. I personally hope Paige wins. I think she's going to win. I'm picking Paige to win this.
You know what? It's crazy for me, right? And it's funny that, like, I'm even waffling on this match because you remember, Ashton, when I would talk with you personally, what I thought the game plan for the Divas title was that Paige wins and then her and Natalya enter a program for WrestleMania. Because they had their little tag team going on, their little, Total Divas interactions, and I didn't know if WWE was going to flesh that out into something more.
But they just dropped that completely.
And then on the other side, see, it's even crazier because I still can't believe that we are – I mean, I'm over it, obviously. It's not like I have sour grapes. But, the whole Bella thing that Brie's just like, oh, well, she's my sister, whatever. Because then I thought, well, another great endgame would be, well, you do Brie and Nikki at Mania for the championship if you really wanted to make this Bella angle – really matter, whatever. But now nobody cares, and nobody's cared for months. So this isn't even like news. So I don't know where you go with the Divas title here because I feel like you're two. Well, I shouldn't say best options, but you're two decent options. Not to be hyperbolic, you pretty much shot in the foot. So I'm just gonna go on personal preference here. I hope Paige wins. I don't know who her contender would be after the fact.
Charlotte.
See, and maybe, right? Because I was going to say maybe an NXT one, but I think that would be hot-shotting a little bit. Not that WWE, I think, would care for the record, but I mean, just for me. So maybe we'd have a return match at Mania. I don't know. I just think Paige wins, regains her championship.
No,
maybe
John, you
AJ
need to
comes
understand they need to fit every diva that they possibly can into the WrestleMania match. So it would be all of them, all the total divas. It would be Paige, Nikki, Brie, Natalya, Cameron, Naomi, Eva Marie, and I'm forgetting some. Oh, no, Alicia Fox. Those women all in fatal however many way for the Divas Championship.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You are absolutely 1,000,000% right. But I'm still going to be John. You know what? This is what I'm going to go with. Paige wins. Hopefully AJ's recovered.
Why did you say, but you're still going to be John, as if what you're about to say is contrary to what I said?
Well, no, because I don't think it's going to be a huge multi-women match. What I was going to say was Paige is going to beat Nikki. And then I think hopefully AJ will be healed by then. We may get Paige AJ at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that could work too. I would dig that. And I honestly, dude, you're going to hate this too, but I could see AJ winning the title there too.
And you know what? That's fine. Honestly, anybody but Bella is how I've gotten with it. And even though Nikki really hasn't even been horrendous, I'm just over those guys.
And that's my thing though. I don't even hate the Bellas when they're champions. I don't. I mean, well, I hate them in the sense that they're heels, but I don't dislike their championship reigns necessarily. What I hate is the way that they are portrayed, the way that the women are booked in general. And for some reason, when AJ Lee gets the championship, she gets so much more mic time and more match time and more everything time. So I like her as champion, not because I think she is a better overall performer than everyone else, because I don't. It's just because for whatever reason, when she has the title, she gets more time, and that gives more time to whoever she's going against too. So she is, in a way, best for business as far as the Divas division goes.
Crazy to think about. So yeah, Paige beats Nikki, and then Paige goes on to face AJ at WrestleMania. I'm locking it in.
I would love to see that, but I just can't help but feel like it's going to be a total Divas WrestleMania.
But you're still picking Paige to win the title here.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's good. So we agree on
Paige is
that.
still on Total Divas, which is a huge advantage.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, who would have thunk that we would have put the most thought and effort into a Divas match compared to everything else that we've done so far?
I know, right?
Up next, you know what? It might not be the less important of the two mid-card titles, but I think it's the more predictable of the two mid-card title matches. So let's talk about the U.S. title match between Cena and Rusev next and save the IC title for later.
See, now let's just get your thoughts on the table right now, because you're expecting some kind of a dusty finish here, aren't you? Or what are you expecting for this match?
To me, it comes down to two things. Either A, John Cena wins and Rusev uses his rematch clause at Mania. I could see that happening. I think it would be incredibly stupid for Rusev to lose in his first match against Cena, but that's such a WWE thing to do, so it could probably happen. Or B, Rusev retains via some kind of shenanigans, whether that be countout or disqualification, or I could even see the old swagger route where he passes out in the Accolade but never gives up, and that's just so Cena. So yeah, anything like that. I don't honestly care who wins the match. Well, actually, no, you know what I'm going to say? I am going to say I would prefer Rusev to win the match by pass out, by making Cena pass out in the Accolade.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would prefer Cena to tap out, but we both know that's never going to happen. So, realistically speaking, I do think that Cena wins, but I don't know if I would say that Cena wins by count-out, disqualification, or just cleanly.
You know what ticks me off about this angle? And
everything?
Well, thank you.
Everything except for Rusev's mic work, maybe?
Yeah, that would be a good answer, right? But and it's certainly on the nose. What I was getting ready to say though was, because here's the thing, I expect Rusev to win this match actually. The thing is, I do expect Cena to be the second person that he beats by pinfall, oddly enough, the first one being Dolph Ziggler on that episode of SmackDown, because we're so used to him winning by Accolade. But what bothers me about this, you have Cena with the kayfabe injury with the eye, the scratched cornea. Then you're starting this narrative about how he's this old man and he's getting old, which doesn't suit a guy like John Cena. It suited a guy like The Undertaker when we talk about his WrestleMania history. A guy like Cena, kind of stretching it a bit for me personally. But, my point is, you're doing all of this as the protection, as it goes. We got to protect Cena. When Rusev is so legit that I could buy him beating 100% Cena with how he's been booked. I mean, the guy takes the fight to people. We've seen in his feuds with Swagger and stuff that he has a high pain threshold with the ankle locks and everything. Like, I could buy him beating a healthy John Cena, and yet they have to put all these caveats in place to make it seem like, oh, well, if only Cena didn't have this, when Rusev is a legitimate monster, which you really can't say that about many heels. So I think that really is a crime against Rusev.
Yeah.
That said, I am probably going to enjoy this match. I am legitimately excited for this match, but oddly enough, I do see Rusev getting the win, probably after a kick to the eye or just some weird stuff like that, and then some kind of follow-up maneuver, maybe even interference from Lana, because we have to just, again, give all those caveats, and Rusev pins John Cena because maybe the Accolade just couldn't do it and he needed to win another way. I don't know. It's weird. They're going to do their rematch at Mania. I see Cena winning there. And all I hope for is that Rusev goes on to better things, like, after this is all done. Because that's really all I care about in this is Rusev.
See, but John, the problem there is that in the WWE, there is no up from John Cena. It's the Cena ceiling. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Cena ceiling is a thing. And once you get to John Cena, whatever you do after that is a downgrade.
Yeah.
So unless Rusev starts feuding with freaking Hulk Hogan or Sting or The Undertaker, he is going downhill.
Yeah.
It happened to Bray Wyatt. It happened to Ryback. And it happens to everyone that faces Cena ever.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm picking Rusev to win by pinfall. We'll have to see what happens. He's still one of my favorite heels, I think, on the product because he's just gotten so good in such a short amount of time. And I think you and I, of course, have that affection for him, watching him come up from NXT and being that NXT product. So I'm very proud of him for getting to this spot, but I just don't know where it's going to go from here. So that's what I'm going to go with for the time being.
Yeah. Like I said, I think Cena wins. I just don't know how.
Right.
I would not put it above WWE for him to win clean in this. I really wouldn't. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think he's probably just going to win by DQ and just be done with it.
There you go.
So now let's talk about the mid-card championship match that actually has some intrigue to it. Bad News Barrett versus Dean Ambrose.
There is intrigue to it, but I think I have to harken back to our episode of Twitwell where we talked about this. It's such a shame for Dean Ambrose and Dean Ambrose fans that this is what he gets on a pay-per-view, which honestly wouldn't even be a bad thing. It's just my biggest problem, again, is the motivation. I went to WWE headquarters. I saw this wall of champions. I want to get my mug on that wall. It feels so artificial and so forced that it's kind of taken me out of the match a little bit.
I do agree with you on that point completely.
Yeah, it just feels so contrary to what makes Dean Ambrose so damn good. That said, I can't take anything away from either guy. They are both solid performers, and this could be a legitimately good match. If they get 10 to 15 minutes, I could see them getting 10 minutes. In the end, you know what? I'm going to say Ambrose wins the title here because I think everybody's expecting Barrett to come away with it with some dirty finish or whatever. No, I think they're going to have Ambrose win it, and then maybe they either have the return match at Mania, or what I could also see them doing, Barrett maybe gets his return match out of the way on a Raw, which sets up a whole new contender for Ambrose at Mania. To kind of give the Intercontinental Championship maybe a greater spotlight than just doing Ambrose, Bad News Barrett again. So yeah, I'm going to say Ambrose actually wins the championship here.
Man, I appreciate your willingness to sort of suspend your disbelief. But I know what the number one rule of being a Dean Ambrose fan.
Oh, right, yeah, we didn't go over the number one rule of being a Dean Ambrose fan. Never expect to come out with a victory.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick to it. I think Barrett wins. And I do think, obviously, Ambrose is going to look great in this match. He's going to keep himself very strong. He's going to stay strong. He's going to be, he's going to be just as much of a rock star coming out of this match as he was going in. But yeah, I do think that BNB is going to retain here.
I just feel like... See, I think the primary reason that I feel like Ambrose is going to win is because I just feel like his stock may be a little bit higher than Barrett's at this point. And I think WWE would want to get the IC title on Ambrose. I don't know what their future plans would be after that, obviously, but I do think they just feel like he would be a good fit for that title and whatever their plans are. I just feel like BNB, ever since they did the BNZ, just, again, I feel that disconnect with him now. I don't know if WWE feels that same disconnect, but I just got this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach that they want to make a change, they want to make a shake-up, and they want to see Dean Ambrose, see what he can do with the IC title, maybe even akin to what he did with the United States title. So I think that definitely begins tomorrow night.
Yeah. I think that this match is a really wonderful illustration of just how poorly the entire mid-card in the WWE is booked. Because this is a case where you've got two guys, one of which your current Intercontinental Champion is not only your current, but also a multi-time Intercontinental Champion whose win-loss record is astoundingly bad. For God's sakes, he's lost to Sin Cara. Who did he just lose to on Monday?
Don't you mean SmackDown? Because I knew he
on
lost
SmackDown.
to
Yeah, on SmackDown.
R-Truth, yeah, he lost.
Yeah, on R-Truth on SmackDown. Yeah, like that. And not only that, but then you've got Dean Ambrose, who hasn't won a single pay-per-view match since the Shield broke up.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get invested in either one of these guys if I wasn't already a fan of one or both of them before this entire thing happened?
And that's just it, right? I think so many people are fans of either both guys or definitely one guy over the other guy. And I think you and I certainly fit that bill, obviously. And it's a shame because both of these guys are legitimately solid talents. So it's nothing against them. It's just like I find it so hard to care. Especially, again, in regards to Dean Ambrose. This story, just why? He was a part of the Shield. I really expected that this would have been a great Mania. Actually, no, it still might be because this is Fastlane. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I expected like a better road to WrestleMania, I should say that, for Ambrose. And so far, it just really hasn't panned out any way that I envisioned. And I'm sure a lot of wrestling fans would echo that sentiment. Yeah. But, we'll see what happens, man. But, man, is it tragic.
It's really bad.
Anything else you want to say, or should we move on?
Man, I think it really just kind of comes down to what I said. It's a battle of two losers is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think that the main reason that I personally am picking BNB to win, other than the fact that I know what the first rule of being a Dean Ambrose fan is that when you lose so many non-title matches, you tend to be the type of guy that wins all your title matches over a period of time.
Yeah, that is kind of the formula they've abided by, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like the old Ric Flair formula. Like, you lose your non-title matches so you look beatable, but then you just by the skin of your teeth pull it out when the title's on the line. I feel like that's what they're going with Barrett.
Yeah, Ashton, you reminded me that is the formula they've abided by legitimately, because even when he came back, he had to win the IC title from Ziggler in a 2 out of 3 falls affair because he lost the first fall. Then he lost that non-title match to Sin Cara, which is how Sin Cara got his title match. Hell, if we're continuing that formula, and I'm not even joking about this, the logical thing, by that formula standards, would be he beats Ambrose, but then the next number one contender would be R-Truth, because R-Truth beat him on SmackDown. But I think even with that, I just, again, can't ignore that gut feeling. I have it with at least one match on every pay-per-view. I'm going to stick with Ambrose, but that is the strongest case, and I may even waffle on Puitov, because you're right, that is the structure they've gone by with this title reign. So that's well,
and I could see them giving R-Truth an Intercontinental title match on Raw.
Yeah, definitely.
And then maybe they have like an Intercontinental. You know what? Here's the thing. I was about to say maybe they have an Intercontinental title Fatal 4-Way or a Royal or a Battle Royal or some kind of something at WrestleMania, but then I realized Bad News Barrett is probably going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, isn't he?
Probably. I would assume.
Yeah.
And here's the thing though, well, we can't even ask each other if we know for sure if they're doing that Battle Royal. We only assume because they said it was going to be like an annual thing, but who knows? Maybe
when you say first annual.
Yeah, exactly. But then you see how Cesaro turned out, and you're like, maybe people will forget. And then when they realize people didn't forget, it's like, oh crap, we're kind of in a corner now, aren't we? So
it's crazy because Barrett, to me, when did he win the title? He just won it in what, December?
I want to say December. Yeah.
It was December. It was either November, December, or January. I don't honestly remember.
I think it was late December. It should have been.
Yeah. So I could see him getting like a 6-month run with it. Like I could see him holding it until maybe like Extreme Rules, maybe whatever is probably Battleground. I think it is whatever is between Extreme Rules and Money in the Bank. And then I think he is the 2015 Money in the Bank winner.
Oh, dude. It seems like every year that he's, like, in it or would be eligible to be in it, I'm just like, yep, Barrett Money in the Bank. Yep, Barrett Money in the Bank. And goddamn it, I'm probably going to do it again this year.
Well,
so
that's
for
the
now,
thing, though. That's the thing, though, John. You've been predicting it, but every time it feels like the right time. And we even see reports like Barrett was, and I say was because he always gets injured, but he was projected to be the Money in the Bank winner. So obviously they've been trying to give it to him for a while. I could see it finally culminating this year, as long as, yet again, he doesn't get injured.
Right, if he stays healthy.
How exactly does Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler get labeled as injury prone, and Bad News Barrett comes back from an injury and gets handed the IC belt with no problem?
Man, he's got to feel so relieved, like, under the radar. Nobody knows my injury report. But yeah, I mean, I did think that was going to be the game plan for Barrett when he came back, and I love the whole vibe that the Authority had him, you know, in their pocket to use whenever, and he was reaping the benefits. But again, like, and I'm not saying it's the biggest problem in the world. I don't want to make it seem like that, but I didn't like BNZ. I don't think it's totally killed him by any means. Again, that would be being hyperbolic, and I don't want to be that way. But, you know, hopefully he stays the course, and he would make a legitimate Money in the Bank winner. And I guess, you know, I mean, he's bound to lose that IC title eventually. I'm just saying that it's going to go to Ambrose. I mean, who knows, with the way his reign is going, maybe R-Truth would become champion. I don't freaking know, but just to bring it full circle, I am sticking by Ambrose to win the title tomorrow night.
Alrighty, well, let's finish things up with the big number 1 contender match.
Well, see, and that's how forgettable this card is, because we have that 6-man match to talk about. Seth Rollins, Kane, and Big Show versus Dolph Ziggler, Erick, Rowan, and Ryback.
Has that been officially announced, though?
Yeah, that's going to happen, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know that was officially announced, to be honest.
And see, here's the crazy thing. God, this is going to be so stupid. I originally thought, right, that the heels were going to win, that Erick Rowan was actually going to eat the pin. That's the only reason he was here. But now, I don't know if they're saving it for Mania or what they're doing, and I'm sure you've heard about it, this whole Jon Stewart, Seth Rollins feud going on. I mean, are they going to have, you know, Jon Stewart sitting in the audience, maybe Seth Rollins gets distracted and Dolph Ziggler pins him? You know, I don't know what they're doing here.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You know, and see, like, I hate being right, though, because it's so stupid. Like, I feel stupid saying this out loud. I feel like I'm losing my credibility as a commentator here because, oh, Jon Stewart calls Seth Rollins and that. That shouldn't even be a sentence.
No, dude, here's the thing. I think Seth Rollins has to get pinned here. Whether by Ziggler or Ryback, obviously it's not going to be Rowan because obviously I think the WWE just flat out hates that guy. But yeah, I think Rollins has to eat the pin here because then Kane and Big Show can get all pissy and turn on him, and that'll set up something, and stuff will happen, and that's just the WWE thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds ludicrous. I hate myself for saying it, but I have to say, Ziggler is going to pin Rollins. I'll even go all the way and attribute it to some kind of Jon Stewart shenanigans. Again, I do think that maybe they're saving that ultimately for Mania. But there's got to be something coming to this, seeing as how it's been very recent and very close to Fastlane, and that's the only reason I bring it up. So yeah, Seth eats the pin, and Erick Rowan can actually say he won something on a pay-per-view. God, there is so much wrong there. But yeah, Ryback, Ziggler, and Rowan win, man.
Yep. All right, well, now we can talk about what I was about to talk about. Number 1 contenders match. It's Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. John, how excited are you for this? That's more of a response than I would have given had somebody asked me that same question in that same tone.
Oh my God, so I'm not the worst one in this situation. Holy balls.
I would have they would have been like, how excited are you for this match? Not at all. Go away.
Here's the thing, Ashton. I'm going to do what has never really steered me wrong. I'm going to put, I guess not necessarily my trust in you, although, of course, it's certainly there. But, I mean, we've been talking about Brock Lesnar's status, right? And you've been giving me your theories about it, like if Brock Lesnar stays, where you could see it going. And then my mind started thinking about something. I started thinking about when WWE does this crap before, because they have a history of doing this.
Doing what?
Just this whole Royal Rumble winner, other contender kind of debacle. I mean, this isn't their first time doing it. 2006, Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio. I believe it was probably, I think, 2008, I want to say, or 2009. You had John Cena cashing in his Royal Rumble title shot early. Randy Orton got himself DQ'd. That led to the triple threat at WrestleMania 24. 2002, you had Triple H versus Kurt Angle. Winner was going to face Chris Jericho, WrestleMania 18. There's a precedent there, is my point.
But frequently, the guy that won the Rumble still ends up winning the match to go on to WrestleMania.
Well, see, here's the thing. The guy that won the Royal Rumble still gets his WrestleMania match. I'm going to put it that way, because when it was Triple H Angle, Triple H lost his match at No Way Out. By all intents and purposes, Angle was supposed to go to WrestleMania 18. I think they fixed it on a SmackDown taping a few weeks later. 2006, we know Randy Orton beat Rey Mysterio at No Way Out. Teddy Long added him to the match. So here's my prediction, and where I'm going with this. Because there's a precedent, as much as it pains me to say it, I see Daniel Bryan beating Roman Reigns here. But I see Roman Reigns making restitution before WrestleMania somehow.
Yeah.
That's honestly where I see it. They've done this before, and I'm going on history. That's the worst thing you can do. I'll admit it, but I'm going with it because they've done this crap before. Daniel Bryan is going to pull out the victory, and then somehow, either maybe by, I don't think he'll turn heel. But maybe, who knows, right? But he's going to find some way to get in there. And we get our triple threat, which I'm not in love with. Primarily not even for the reasons most people are stating. The only reason I'm not in love with it is we just got a triple threat at Rumble. I kind of didn't want another world title triple threat, especially when one was that.
Well, and not only did we just get a triple threat at Rumble as far as recent stuff goes, but we just got a triple threat at the last WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. You know? But that's what I see going down, dude. I honestly.
So how exactly do you think that's going to happen, though?
I mean, you know what? I could. There's so many wild fan theories. I don't even know which one is the most credible. Maybe Seth Rollins comes in and he costs Roman Reigns his matchup. To me, honestly, with the stuff he's got going on with Stewart and other people, that would even make no sense. So I'm not even entirely convinced. But somebody is going to cost Roman Reigns and view Daniel Bryan as the lesser of two evils, because maybe they look at Brock Lesnar and they think, oh, he could beat Daniel Bryan in 5 minutes. So Daniel Bryan would be preferable because they want to keep Brock as champion and they see Roman as the more legitimate threat. So somebody aids Bryan. Bryan unknowingly, of course, takes advantage because he's a babyface. He's not going to willingly know that he got help and is like, yeah, going to WrestleMania. Roman Reigns again, somehow, some way on a Raw or SmackDown, gets back in the picture, and we get our triple threat. But, yeah, Daniel Bryan, I think, is winning this match. Now, if it was me being subjective in how I would book it as a fan, these two guys would go out there, they'd tear the house down, but Roman Reigns would straight up beat him. Maybe take 2 spears just to really make Bryan look strong or whatever. But Roman Reigns gets his win, and we continue down the path that we were going on before this whole thing happened. But I think WWE, they love that wrench because they love the comeback story. They're going to try and create this heartbreak scenario for Roman Reigns. But I've babbled on enough about this long enough. What do you think?
Oh man, this is so difficult because if the WWE is trying to do what I think they're trying to do,
right,
they are legitimately trying to make it seem like Roman Reigns is this sort of underdog, sympathetic babyface, while Daniel Bryan is sort of like this whiny, vanilla midget douchebag who complained his way into a championship opportunity.
Right.
That, to me, that's not necessarily my view. That's how I think the WWE wants us to see this situation.
Right.
So the question really becomes, how far are they willing to push that angle before Reigns, quote unquote, overcomes the whiny troll in this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because on one hand, they could completely hotshot it, have Reigns win, and be like, see, I told you I earned this, and then Daniel Bryan go whine about it somewhere. Or, and this is kind of my X factor, Daniel Bryan could win clean, and Roman Reigns could sort of weasel his way into the main event to make it a triple threat. I do not think this is going to be a double discount qualification, double count out. I don't think that it's going to be a WrestleMania triple threat coming out of this pay-per-view, but I think that it will eventually become one.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And you know what? I was thinking about how Roman Reigns could, how he would get back in. And admittedly the only one, and that probably even has shaky legs, but the one viable way that I found while you were talking, maybe we do see, as you were kind of saying, that reversal of roles. Maybe Bryan wins, and the following Raw, Roman Reigns comes out, looks like he's going to congratulate Bryan, but kind of appeals to his ego and his machismo, so to speak, and suckers Bryan into putting his shot on the line. So we kind of go tit for tat. He's like, hey, I gave you a shot. I think it's only fair because I won the Rumble that you at least do me the same courtesy and we settle once and for all, especially if there was interference that Bryan didn't know about. And maybe that's how they do it. I just feel like this is one of those situations where WWE's kind of put themselves into a corner. And it's not even anything against Bryan or even the Bryan fans that I know we've said, like, oh, they're whatever and they're being unfair to Reigns and this and that. But I really do wish that WWE would have just stuck to the game plan for me personally. And we would have just continued down the road for Roman Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania. This just seems way too excessive for my personal taste. Yeah. But yeah, I think Daniel Bryan is going over. So.
Yep. I think it really does suck, though, that we've sort of kind of accepted that the biggest mistake WWE, and I think they have even accepted it too, because Triple H even said something about it in like a really super meta promo that he cut on Bryan. Bryan really shouldn't have been in the Rumble in the first place. And I think that that's the biggest mistake, because the fact that he was in the Rumble allowed for the crowd to get as worked up as they did at him losing. Right. So now they're going to make the exact same mistake in a different scenario by putting Bryan in another match where he has an opportunity, quote, so-called opportunity, in hard quotes, to earn an opportunity to face Lesnar at Mania. And if he loses, all it's going to do is piss the fans off even more. But if he wins, then why not just have him win the Royal Rumble in the first place to prevent this from ever happening?
Right. And you know what's even crazier? Because we were talking about Lesnar. If it's true and Lesnar sticks around, to me, that makes it all the more pointless. Because why not just give Roman Reigns his title shot at WrestleMania and then give Bryan his own story, his own title match at a later pay-per-view?
That's my thing. My thing is, if Brock Lesnar is sticking around past WrestleMania, I don't give a crap who faces him at WrestleMania, because quite frankly, I think he needs to retain.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Here's my thing, Ashton, and I think this is something that needs to be said, and you and I have already kind of said it, so again, it's not like it's news. But ever since his performance at the Royal Rumble in that triple threat, people have been legitimately asking, well, who can we buy beating Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
And really given this...
And I don't think either one of these guys is the correct answer to that question.
I can't. And you know what? To be fair, like, this isn't even me trying to say, oh, Randy Orton's the answer, even though, obviously, still
I would be able to buy Randy Orton beating Brock Lesnar with a punt, though.
Yeah. With a punt, definitely.
Or maybe even he punts him and he kicks out at 2 and then he punts him again for the win.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, that's how much of a freak Lesnar has been. Like,
exactly.
You guys need to take into account this specific run by Lesnar isn't the one that he started in 2012 at Extreme Rules. I consider this to be a separate run from that. I consider this run to be the one that he started in 2014 at the beginning of the year when he was seeking Brock, when he came back with Paul Heyman, and they immediately started out by saying, we want the championship, but they got the sort of consolation prize at the Royal Rumble of facing Big Show, in which, I might add, Brock Lesnar basically no-sold a knockout punch. And that, which, I mean, for what it's worth, just to put it into perspective, the knockout punch is what caused Cena to lose at the Survivor Series match, Team Cena versus Team Authority. So there's some perspective for you on that. So he went from essentially no-selling a knockout punch from Big Show and dominating him in less than 10 minutes to breaking The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, which Paul Heyman hasn't shut up about since, which is an amazing thing, not a bad thing, to having really the most dominant match anybody has ever had in their career against John Cena. I would say Night of Champions was the worst that he's looked, and he still kicked out of, I believe, 3 attitude adjustments and did not tap to the, what's it? Yeah, that thing. And then at Royal Rumble, let's keep a tally of everything that he ate and kept getting up. I believe it was 4 attitude adjustments, a curb stomp, an elbow drop through a table, and a spear through the barricade. And he still ended up coming back to win that match. This Brock Lesnar, I don't think that I could buy anybody legitimately beating by themselves unless there was a really, really just an exceptional sort of extenuating circumstance. Like, if Brock Lesnar got hit by a truck in kayfabe and then had to defend his title the next night, maybe I could buy him losing then.
And notice your phrasing there. Maybe. And here's my thing, and I feel like it needs to be said. If Brock Lesnar is sticking around, which now I have a very strong feeling he will.
Yeah, from what I understand, he's not going back to the UFC because of some kind of a concussion issue or concern, at least.
And you know what? I don't blame him. The money is so good here with limited appearances.
Yeah, especially because he barely even needs to bump in WWE because he no-sells everything.
Yeah, and even though that would be a great discussion, what I really do want to say to keep focus here, they didn't do Reigns any favors with this storyline because I thought they were going to have Reigns go on a warpath and it being the whole narrative, we found the one behind the one in, 21-1 or however it's phrased, Roman Reigns vanquishing the guy who beat the streak. But then the moment that I lost hope that Roman Reigns could beat Brock Lesnar,
and Show beat him clean on Raw.
Well, and it wasn't, and to be fair, it wasn't even clean because Rollins got the briefcase in the back. But here's the thing: when you're going against Brock Lesnar, that's no excuse because everything you mentioned that happened to him at the Royal Rumble, Reigns got a fraction of that, and he still lost to the Big Show. Yep. So how the hell am I going to believe?
Dude, Reigns could open up a match with Lesnar by hitting 3 spear. He could do a Superman punch, spear, 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 and I would still believe Lesnar kicking out at 1.
Yeah, it's that ridiculous, guys. It's that ridiculous. And I feel like this whole angle with
It
Bryan
just feels like Brock Lesnar as an entity is above these goofy little pro wrestlers doing their fake moves. Like, I know that sounds terrible, and I know that it's a huge, freaking trigger word when people say fake when it comes to wrestling, but everything feels fake when compared to what Brock Lesnar does in the ring. He's that believable, that real, that legit.
And here's the thing, Ashton, and you want to talk about Brock Lesnar being a freak, I'm convinced, even though the best route, and here's the thing, they probably will go that route, so maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, would be obviously somebody doing the unthinkable and pinning Brock 1, 2, 3. At the same time, at this point, I would not be surprised to see him drop the belt in a multi-man match without even eating the pin.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like it's gotten that bad, right? Because he's such a freak in there. Like, he's that case where, like, you'd often see with a guy like the Big Show, if he's in the ring with 5 other guys or 3 other guys or whatever, he eats all of their finishing moves, and then that's when he gets pinned. Brock would still kick out. It wouldn't matter. Like, attitude adjustment. Spear. RKO. This is going to be... And then he kicks out at 2. And then everybody soils themselves because they realize, oh, my God, we forgot. It's Brock Lesnar. We made the mistake of thinking that he was every other human being ever. Wrong. So, yeah, and then to bring it back to this match, to bring it full circle, it goes back to what Ashton said very plainly, guys. If Lesnar is sticking around, he does not give a crap who Brock Lesnar faces at Mania because he thinks that Brock should go over. And honestly, not to speak for you, Ashton, but not only do I think it's a matter of you thinking he should go over, I mean, who wouldn't believe him going over?
Right.
So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say that we're going to do this stupid route of this ambiguous ending, and Daniel Bryan wins, and he goes to WrestleMania. But again, Reigns will find his way back, and maybe we will get our triple threat. And if Brock is sticking around, I would love to see him retain again, because then it's 2 triple threat matches back to back. But, I mean, obviously I think the triple threat would be in place so that either a Reigns could pin a Bryan or the inverse, Bryan pinning a Reigns, because Lesnar is so godly. I can't believe anybody at this point in time pinning Brock Lesnar. No freaking way.
I think Reigns wins clean. I think that we get Reigns versus Lesnar. I think Bryan faces Dolph Ziggler. I don't think that plan's changed. I think the WWE is only doing this to delay the inevitable and shut the fans up temporarily. And I think that Lesnar retains. Maybe Rollins cashes in. I kind of doubt it, though, because from what I understand, they're planning on having him cash in June. So I just think Lesnar needs to retain here, and frankly, because of that, I think that, I mean, if you want your Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar match, maybe SummerSlam main event. Fine, cool, whatever, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if he's sticking around, I don't care, because what everybody has to understand about Lesnar, if he is sticking around, that's a huge sigh of relief, because this guy is a rare commodity. You're not going to get many matches out of this guy. So the matches you do get out of him, you want them to be legitimate. Oh my God, I want to see that match. And for me, as far as Brock Lesnar goes, there's only really one on that list. Everybody knows what it is. I don't even have to say it. RKO. Daniel Bryan, in all honesty, not to anger the fans, again, just my opinion, is not on that list. Roman Reigns, hell, you know, he's starting to get back in my good graces now that he's cutting the promos that I love him cutting, but he's still not on that list. It's just RKO. So hopefully I get it. If he wants to do this business with Reigns and Bryan, go nuts. Have a party. Because without Brock Lesnar's been booked, I can't buy them winning that championship off of him anyway. I'm just going to ask you really quick, Ashton, as a side question. Do you think Sheamus is going to return at this pay-per-view and stick his nose in this matchup at all? Because I know that's been a very dominant theory.
Hey, I would not complain if he cost Bryan this match and we got Sheamus Bryan. I've been saying that for a while now. I think Sheamus Bryan would be a great match at WrestleMania. They tear the freaking house down. Everyone that is complaining about that being a possible thing to happen is clearly blinded by their Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar sunglasses that they're wearing. And I just think that Sheamus versus Bryan would be a great match, and I'd love to see it. So if Sheamus returns at this pay-per-view to screw Bryan out of this match and we get Sheamus versus Bryan at Mania, I'm not complaining. I'm actually cheering for it. I love it.
That would have been so hilarious if that was his tagline, because I know you've been begging for one. Like, when's he going to return? And it just read, returns at Fastlane, to screw Daniel Bryan. And just be like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I actually, that's the only theory that I've given any kind of credence to, because that's actually the only one that I could very readily believe. So I'm keeping that one in my back pocket, but I am sticking to everything that we said here. Otherwise, this would have made this discussion utterly pointless. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think that's it, man. I really got nothing more to say about this show unless you have any, like, clear remarks or anything you want to bounce around. I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, man.
Well, all right, guys. I guess that's about all we have to say about this show. Apologies if our enthusiasm was a little bit quelled on this video, but at the end of the day, I don't think either one of us is super excited for this show. Other than that, though, maybe we'll be a little bit more excited when it actually starts tomorrow. And to find out, tune into live reactions tomorrow night.
That's the greatest sales pitch ever.
I had to, but yeah. Make sure to check out live reactions tomorrow night. We'll be putting that, I'm sure it'll probably be up somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So if you're on the West Coast, it would be between 10 and midnight. So yeah, we'll see you guys for live reactions tomorrow, and then hopefully Raw is better than what it's been.
You know what? I'm sorry. The entire time you were talking, I was just thinking, I wonder what Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to do this week.
I know, right?
How Sasha Banks is doing with that title of hers. I wonder what the new Lucha Underground Championship is going to look like. You know, things that we actually give a crap about. Oh, God.
It's a sad day, WWE. It's a sad day.
All right, guys. Well, personally, here's the thing. I always have fun with you, bro, doing live reactions. So that is going to be a fun time regardless, even if it's just us laughing at the quality of the product. So that should be fun. And then, yeah, Raw, we'll have to see how Raw shakes out. Because then, I mean, again, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and there's not that much time between, that and WrestleMania this year because it's in late March this year.
Yep.
So, a lot of interesting implications. But, yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys for live reactions tomorrow night.
Peace.